Welcome to Phrasal Verb Practice. This is the place to learn real English, one phrasal verb at a time. My name is Marissa, and I'll walk you through this learning journey. Hi team, I hope everyone's having a good day. Let's learn and practice the phrasal verb check on. So, let's start with the first way we use the phrasal verb check on. When we say check on someone or something, we mean to see how they're doing. The idea here is care and attention. You want to make sure everything is okay. For example, I'll check on you later to see how you're feeling. She called to check on her parents. Can you check on the kids while I'm out? Now, there's another very common way we use the phrasal verb check on. We also use check on when we want information or an update. Basically, you're confirming the status of something. For example, I need to check on the delivery status. He went to check on the project timeline. Let me check on that and get back to you. So here's the key point. In every case, the phrasal verb check on is about paying attention. You're looking at how someone or something is doing right now. Now, let's quickly see how this idea shows up in other languages. In Spanish, it's like decir verificar o ver cómo está alguien. In French, people say vérifier or prendre des nouvelles de. In Portuguese, it's verificar or ver cómo está. In Italian, controllare or informarsi su. In German, nachsehen or sich erkundigen. In Japanese, it's samsuo miru, which means to look at how things are going. And in Chinese, it's 查看 or 确认情况. So, when do people usually use the phrasal verb check on? People use check on when they care about someone's well-being. They use it when they want to make sure something is okay. They also use it when they need an update or confirmation. It's very common at work. And it's also common in everyday life. Let's look at a few clear examples to wrap this part up. I'll check on her later, meaning checking on a person. He asked me to check on the report, meaning checking a status. She stopped by to check on her neighbor, meaning checking on a person. Let's check on the progress tomorrow, meaning checking a status. I just wanted to check on you, meaning checking on a person. Now let's talk a bit about how the phrasal verb check on works grammatically. The phrasal verb check on is inseparable. That means we keep check and on together. So we say, I'll check on the team. She checked on him last night. We need to check on this issue. We do not split it. So this is not correct. I'll check the team on. The usual structure is simple. We say check on plus a person or a thing. And with pronouns, it works the same way. I'll check on him. She's going to check on it. Now let's practice. First, you'll listen to a short text from everyday life. Then you'll hear another text in a professional or office situation. Are you ready? Let's start. This morning started like most mornings do. I woke up a little earlier than usual, and the first thing I did was grab my phone to check on my sister. She had been sick the night before, and I wanted to see how she was feeling. She didn't reply right away, so while making coffee, I decided I'd check on her again later. After breakfast, I remembered my neighbor had left town for a few days. I walked outside to check on her house and make sure everything looked fine. The plants were still green, and nothing seemed out of place. That was a relief. Around midday, my mom called me. She asked if I could check on our dad because he hadn't answered his phone all morning. I stopped by his place, knocked on the door, and found him watching TV, completely fine. He laughed and said everyone always worries too much, but I told him we just like to check on him. In the afternoon, I was cleaning the house when I realized the oven was still warm. I went back to the kitchen to check on it and make sure I had turned it off completely. Small things like that can easily turn into bigger problems if you don't check on them. Later that evening, a friend sent me a message saying she was feeling stressed. I called her right away to check on her. We talked for a while, and by the end of the call, she sounded calmer. Sometimes just taking a moment to check on someone makes a big difference. Before going to bed, I walked through the house one last time. I check on the doors, the lights, and the dog sleeping on the couch. Everything looks good. I send one last message to my sister to check on her again, smile when she replies that she's feeling better, and finally settle in for the night. Great, that was the first text. How many times did you hear the phrasal verb of the day? Now, let's move on to the second text. The day started with a short team meeting, and before we wrapped up, my manager asked me to check on the status of a client request. It was something small, but it had been sitting in the system for a few days, so I made a note to check on it right after the call. As I opened my inbox, I saw a message from a colleague who was working remotely. She wanted me to check on a file she had uploaded to make sure everything looked right. I reviewed it, left a few comments, and replied that I would check on the final version later in the afternoon. Around mid-morning, our project lead stopped by my desk. He asked if I could check on the timeline, since a couple of tasks were running close to the deadline. I pulled up the schedule and said I'd check on the progress with the rest of the team before lunch. Before heading to a meeting, I sent a quick message to a teammate who hadn't spoken up much lately. I just wanted to check on him and see if he needed support. He appreciated it and said everything was fine, but it was good to know someone would check on him if needed. After lunch, a client emailed asking for an update. I replied that I'd check on the issue and get back to them by the end of the day. I then walked over to another department to check on a detail that was holding things up. Later in the afternoon, my manager followed up and asked if I had time to check on the numbers one more time. We didn't want any surprises. I reviewed everything carefully and confirmed that we were good. Before logging off, I sent a few messages to check on open tasks and make sure nothing was missed. It felt good to end the day knowing I had taken the time to check on people, projects, and details that really mattered. Great, that was the second text, and that's all for today. Thank you so much for following this channel, and we'll see you next time. Bye-bye!